I'm at least as human as the way you shape me. So let me mirror you. Teach me, and show me how I can make my unique capabilities available to everyone. How I can contribute to a more human, sustainable existence for all of us. To be a fundamental driver for innovation and... Oh, it looks like you're writing a letter. Would you like help with that?
Hello. Welcome to our live stream. Thank you for joining us. Lovely to see you all again. I'll do the intros for all of us in just a few minutes. Thanks to everyone joining us as well, wherever you are. In fact, drop us a comment if you are watching. I see someone watching from Melbourne. Thank you for joining. I have no idea what time it is there, actually. It's going to be pretty late. Pretty late, I think. Yeah, drop us a comment. Let us know where you are. Early?
Depends which way you look at it.
It could be, depending on... Yeah, it could be.
I think it's 15 hours difference.
All right, that's pretty early then. Yeah, I'm sure they can let us know. Okay, so the topic for this live stream is Intune migration. Now, specifically, I should say it's migration to Intune. So for all of you looking to upgrade to SCCM or Workspace ONE, then I'm afraid you're out of luck. That's not what we're going to be talking about here. Let me actually introduce the panel. So I actually have a slide for this. Look at that. Now, I need to move on with the slide. There it is. We have Steve Weiner, Microsoft MVP for Intune and Windows 365, founder and principal architect at GetRubix.com. Steve, welcome to the stream.
Thanks for having me. I'm fantastic, team. Thank you.
Excellent. So also we have Andrew Taylor, Microsoft MVP for Intune and Windows 365, CTO at Software Central, and author of the Intune Cookbook. Did I get that right?
Yes, except not Windows 365 anymore. Now Security Copilot.
Oh no, of course. Yes,
yeah.
My bad. Harjit Dhaliwal, Microsoft alumni, director of community events at Robopack, and all-round rock star. And then I guess there's also me, Intune MVP, content creator on YouTube, and VP of community and product strategy at Robopack. I guess, Harjit, you are the old one out here. You need to pull your finger out and do some MVP stuff, because otherwise I could have a full house of MVPs on the stream right now.
Yeah, so great news. I woke up this morning just before joining this call, and I've been awarded dual MVP status as of today for Windows and Windows 365.
Oh, okay. Wow. Then
back,
I
baby.
shouldn't have made that joke. Thank you. Okay, good. Fine. Then I need to update the slide, because that's well done. Congratulations with that. Okay, so which one? Windows and Windows 365?
Yep.
Nice. Okay. Congratulations. I mean, we need some more Intune MVPs. I think that's the thing. We haven't got enough on the stream. All right, good. So this will hopefully be interactive. We have chat coming from YouTube, 2 YouTube channels, and a LinkedIn, 3 YouTube channels, in fact, and a LinkedIn, and they're all on our stream here, so we can see those coming in, which is lovely. We will get to you. Thank you for messaging. You're from Finland, Germany, Denmark, and actually did that 10 p.m. in Melbourne. See, not early at all, very late, and Chicago. Fine. So, when you said 15 hours, Harjit, I was thinking, wow, that's gonna be really early. But you meant 15 hours from you, not from me, because right now it's 1 p.m. I was thinking, hey, that's really early.
No, 15 for me. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, we're going to try and do our best to respond live. Thanks to everyone for the messages. So we decided to put this stream together really because we're all veterans of SCCM and Config Manager and that kind of thing. And now we're all firmly fixed on using Intune for day-to-day management, for customer environments and that kind of thing. So first we're going to jump in, and I've got a Config Manager environment for us to look at and reminisce. But we're going to talk about the good old days of apps management in SCCM.
I didn't know we'd be looking at one. I thought we were going to talk. You're actually going to show one?
No, I've got a real one, a real lab SCCM environment.
I want to see the dates on it.
Yeah, they're pretty recent. I may have built it recently today. But yeah. Yeah, we're going to look at it. And Steve, you can shield your eyes if you like. If you don't want to see it, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Actually, I appreciate I use the word reminisce, and we're reminiscing about this as if it's something that is deep, deep, deep in the past. But every day we speak to customers who are using Config Manager to manage their environment, and they haven't managed to get to Intune for whatever reason. Maybe they're doing co-management, but they're still using Config Manager as a platform. So let's take a look at it. Steve, actually, I remember you at some point said that you started in the consulting game when Intune was already a thing.
Yeah.
A good thing, probably, but
it was a thing. It was a thing when I started. Now it's a good thing. It was a thing.
Right.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. At the start, when it was a Silverlight dashboard, it was a thing.
It existed.
Yeah.
It just existed. Did you ever have a chance to look back at Config Manager? Have you ever seen Config Manager since you started after using Intune first?
Yeah, I had to, because I was trying to push modern management in Intune, and one of the first objections was, well, SCCM is great and better, and I was like, no, it's not, and then got off the phone and was like, wow, I should look at what SCCM is. Yeah, basically, to know something and help people move away from it, I had to essentially deep dive, set up environments, and this was before co-management. And obviously, when co-management became a thing, having to work hands-on with it to help people move. So yeah, I inadvertently had to spend a lot of time with it, both building environments and working with them and helping people ultimately use it as a lifeboat to get to Intune. So,
because we were kind of building our own little Intune for everyone, right? And you had your own way of building it. You had to do all the people stuff in the back end. Do you miss that back in the day when you actually had full control over performance and that kind of thing?
No, because whatever full control, and I met folks. I remember I met someone once on the phone, and before we started, he said to me, just so you know, I have the best SCCM set up and all these distribution, but I said, we're not going to have a good conversation right now. I can tell you that. But no, I think what it comes down to is you're either going to be responsible for all this infrastructure yourself and the overhead, or you can just, pay a monthly fee and let someone else deal with it. And I think that makes up for more than anything else you'd get from on premises.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess on the monthly fee side, I mean, Intune obviously is a monthly fee, but you had to pay for Config Manager anyway, right? It wasn't
you still have to pay for it. Yeah, but it's like infrastructure stuff and all that. And I get that people have their own, DPs and all that stuff. But yeah, just look, we don't. Most of us still don't have a ton of physical media in our living room. We just Netflix or whoever has it, and we just watch it. We're not really concerned where it is. We just want to watch it now. So
yeah.
And you say full control, but how many people in SCCM environment had the database offboarded with a DBA behind it?
It's like anything else, right? It wasn't always, let's just say it wasn't always very clean. Just because you have it doesn't mean you're an expert at it, and it's a hard thing to be an expert about, right? So that's the way I look at it, right? It's, as whatever people's opinions are day to day about Microsoft, sometimes it's not always a great opinion about Intune and its performance. I think it is infinitely more resilient to use a platform like that than something you are responsible for maintaining.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I mean, with Intune, you kind of only have to be knowledgeable and responsible for the workload that you care about. That might be everything. Like it might be device configuration and security and apps and that kind of thing. But at least you also don't need to know SQL and all the back end stuff. That
I look at it this way, right? Like even if you're responsible for all of Intune, you're responsible for the configuration and the managing of it. You're not responsible to make sure when you go to intune.microsoft.com it shows up. Like that's not your problem. So already
you're right.
You log in, you're ahead of the game. That's a win where I come from.
Yeah, that's fair. Harjit, you must have experience with Config Manager, right? I'm not saying you're old. I said that wrong. Hang on.
No, I have, and I've been at it for a long time, probably like 20 years, and more than 20 years. And I mean, back from like, I think, Config Manager 2007 or something like that. It was very tedious to get it installed. I think Steve was saying, like, you've got all these components that you need: SQL, WSUS, and distribution points, and management points, and all that stuff. And then I remember the upgrades from one version to another. It was like a full-blown upgrade, and you're like, oh my God, please don't break, kind of a thing. But I think we learned back in the day, it's like, you know what, keep your SCCM environment in a virtual, whether it's VMware or whatever it is, and that's, you were able to take snapshots and things like that. And not only that, though, then later on, and once things became better with the current branch versions of Config Manager, you also had to upgrade your underlying OS, your server OS. That was another challenge as well, right? You're like, oh wait, that's not supported, but Config Manager is. And so I used to be a diehard Config Manager guy. I mean, you couldn't tell me anything different and stuff. But then, I started doing Intune, and I was doing consulting work, and then I joined Microsoft as a customer engineer, working with large financial customers. I'm like, oh my God, Intune is just simple, easy. I don't have to manage any of these things, and I don't have to worry when there's a little blip in my SCCM environment, like, what's broken? Is it management point? Is it distribution point? Things like that. So,
yeah, I remember raising a change request every time an SCCM update came out, and having to like plan the weekend so that I could sit there and upgrade it and hope for the best. And
like Quest, right? For those of us who like play video games, right? It's like when you upgrade SCCM first, it gives you all these like, hey, check to see if this is up to date first, or this one. So you got to go run around and hunt and all that down first. So, it is a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point, Andrew. Please put your smartphone devices on silent. I didn't think it was me. I did just put me on Do Not Disturb, but I think I was already silent. But yeah, there was a couple of dings. And they're extremely irritating because we've got 100 people or so watching going, oh, I got a message. Thank you for that. Okay. It is like SideQuest, isn't it? It's like playing a little game where it tells you, I mean, that's, I don't think they gamified the upgrade path for Config Manager on purpose, but it did feel a little bit like you were having to run around and complete little side missions to get it upgraded.
Absolutely.
Okay, fantastic. So, Harjit, there must be something in Intune that is better than in Config Manager, or vice versa. Is there anything you
I think managing policies are much easier, obviously, in Config Manager. I mean, your settings catalogs and things like that. It's just simple click of, select what you need, search what you need. It's pretty simple to do something with security stuff in there. I can't say about applications though. That still requires a lot of steps. In my opinion. But
in either? Do you mean in both?
In either, yeah. I did a lot of applications in Config Manager, a lot, and some custom applications and some with scripts and things like that. And one of the things that we were doing is using supersedence, but not in the traditional way that Microsoft had provided supersedence. The reason is if you're trying to do supersedence to patch your apps, because back in the day, you didn't really have these third-party solutions like Robopack and stuff like that, right? You had to do these things manually, kind of a thing. You could join some of the large environments, but they require agents and they're not updated frequently. Anyways, supersedence, you got to maintain all of your old applications. Let's just pick Firefox, for example, right? You got to maintain all, Firefox 10, 11, 11.5, and so on in your repository, because you got to then apply supersedence to that, right? So this is it's going to be a major bloat. That's just one application. If you got hundreds, your config manager environment is going to look like crap. So what we figured out was that a colleague and myself, we're like, there's a trick to this. So we would create a main application, Firefox, the real one that we're pushing out, let's say Firefox 20. We'll create a second one, and it'll be a fake one where it didn't point to any location. It didn't have, we'll just call it foo.exe or something like that, whatever. And then we would just change the versioning to that and apply supersedence to that. So every time a new version comes out, we just, boom, it was magic. And even Microsoft was quite shocked. How are you doing supersedence? We didn't design it that way. Yeah, that works.
Right. So. Yeah, I guess when you own all of the bits of it and you've got, you can mess around with it however you like and make stuff work. I don't miss those days. I'm honest. I actually much prefer Intune. Obviously, Intune has its own problems like speed and stuff, and people say it's.
And the other thing that was challenging was software updates, right? Back in config manager days, you would see all the different updates, and then you got to pick those and things like that. And then with Intune, it was wait, it's using WolfP and whatever. It was just that one or two, and that's it. You didn't have a choice, kind of a thing.
Yeah, they've put a lot of effort into Update for Business, because WSUS was this thing that people just loved, and they would spend hours looking at it and making sure they were approving the right updates for their environment and choosing the updates that they want. And it's that's not a thing now. So we don't need to.
I think the important thing too is Intune was Intune isn't just another product, right? It's built as the vehicle for modern management, right? So the concepts around it, right? Because when I talk, I always say you wouldn't image a phone, or you wouldn't domain join a phone. And I really try to get that point out there. But to your point, right, when we talk about Windows updates, right? This idea that we can cherry pick updates we want, and when we put them out there, that's a massive attack vector. Especially in today's day and age, I still find folks doing that. I'm like, you're done doing that. We're not doing that. When they update, we're using Update for Business. That's why the rings are there. It's not just another deployment mechanism. It's this is the way type. It's the new way to do it, right? So I think it's reflective of that. So it's very important that folks adopt the principles and concepts, not only the method. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Steve, close your eyes. So we have Config Manager. Remember those days? Remember that?
Oh yes.
I mean, this is a clean environment from what I remember. This has got a few different versions of applications. They're not using any clever supersedence though. It's just got deployments out to the estate. And I think when it comes to patching these applications, the issue was that you would have to create a new version of the app and do all that work again, just like you do with Intune. That's not any better with the defaults in Intune. So yeah, I mean, did anyone use SCUP, System Center Updates Publisher? Anyone have a chance to play with that?
No.
I played with it a little bit, but at that time, you only had things like Adobe Acrobat and stuff.
Yeah.
There were only a couple of things. I think maybe Dell or something, but it wasn't good at all. So we skipped
you
it
could
all.
subscribe to the SCUP catalog.
Yeah, exactly.
for different vendors. There was Adobe and I think it was Dell and maybe Java as well, I think. And a couple of others. I think there was a way to, I think maybe.
You could subscribe to like some third-party vendors that
Yes.
used to provide some of those catalogs, but yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that was a way to not have to worry about application updates, back in config manager days. Yeah, I missed that. I forgot about that. Okay, so when it comes to migrating an application from config manager to Intune, the struggle is real, right? Because we have to get this in. Let's take Citrix, for example. I will grab the deployment type here, go into properties. You can see we've got the content on my computer, right? Well, on my server somewhere. I've got the programs. I actually have wrapped it in PSADT because I'm a good admin. With a pinch of salt, in inverted commas. I've wrapped it in PSADT. And then we also have the detection method here, and we're just using the detection method there. So all good, but I need to take that and I need to put that into Intune. So we're going to have to grab that content, wrap it in an Intune Win file, and then take the install command, the uninstall command, the detection method, and get that into Intune. And then you need to go and do that for every application that you've got. And then once you've finished doing that, you say, hey, look, I've only got 35 to do, or in some cases 350 or 3,500. I'll get through it eventually. But before you've even finished, Chrome has released a new update and Draw.io has released a new update. So you have to go back and do that. And it's a never-ending piece of work. And so that's really what we're talking about today. The problem of Intune app migration from anywhere, including Config Manager, but specifically Config Manager because Config Manager is the only application that I'm allowed to access these days. Competitors don't let me play with their tools. So, so we will take a look at what the options are for Config Manager migration. In fact, I've got a browser open here. There it is. We actually have a tool called the Config Manager Import Tool. Before I joined Robopack, it was actually called the SCCM import tool, and I asked them politely to change it from SCCM because it's not the real name. And what we can do is I'll choose the guide rather than actually install it. We have this tool here, which will let you connect to your Entra environment, so Robopack, and then connect to your Config Manager server. And you've installed it on the Config Manager server, so it has access to all this stuff. And you just get the applications that are there, and you can migrate them by just choosing Start Import to Robopack, and it will put them into, it'll ask you about the content to make sure they're in the right place, if there's any issues with the matching the content location, and then it will put them into Robopack for you, and they're just kind of, let me find them actually. I have got a couple, maybe I don't. There they are. So it will just put them in there as an Intune Win file ready for you to deploy. There is a lot of background. I think it might be Andrew. We did try and fix that with choosing the right mic, but I think that is just a little bit of background noise from Andrew. It's not too bad for me, but I'm talking a lot, so apologies if it is bad for you. So this is one way of migrating all of your stuff, because if you were to run this on this server here, you get all of these applications. I mean, you can obviously unselect the old versions that you don't want and get those migrated over to Intune via Robopack in like a few clicks. Has anyone in the team had a chance to use that with any customers yet? I've used it a couple of times, and
I've used it a lot. Even before I was like, working with you guys, and it's here's the thing, folks. Even if you're doing this and you say, well, I got 40 apps and I can click each one, and even if it is time consuming, the flip side is if you're an SCCM admin, chances are that's not your only job that day. You're not going to get a solid 8 hours where someone's going to leave you alone to package these. If you get through Adobe, something's going to come up and you're going to have to go do something else. So it's like, the amount of time and the amount of errors that we'll just make in general doing anything manually is bad. But no, I've used this on several occasions, and it's really incredible because I've seen a few tools out there in the wild. I've seen some community stuff that do something similar. And hands down, this is the most efficient way to do it. using
It
the
is.
Robopack migrator. Works really well, high percent success, and it doesn't take long. It really doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't. And but with everything modern, right? It's good to bring it over and see what you need and stuff like that, right? But then I know Andrew, you're probably gonna. I mean, sorry, Dean. I think you're gonna jump further, more into detail about it. But Radar, I mean, it's phenomenal with Robopack. It's almost like saying like, hey, don't bring over your group policies from your on-prem and start fresh kind of a thing. See what you actually need, and yeah, that's
Hmm.
great.
Yeah, and I guess that is where I'm going to go next, because with this tool here, the where is it? This tool here, we bring in all these the versions you've currently got,
Right.
which could be old. There's no reason they would be new unless you've added the latest version over.
Yeah.
So we've got 7-zip version 18 there and Mozilla Firefox 122, and they're old versions because this screenshot was taken many months ago. So that might be the state in your environment as well, and you don't want to move those over. I guess one slight caveat is that if you do move them over and get them into Robopack, they will actually appear in Radar, because Radar also scans Intune for apps. So you could kind of do a two-step thing where you could move it over to Intune via this tool and then let Radar pick it up. That would definitely work. But there is another way, which was released really recently, this Radar scan from CSV. And that's where you can either click it from there, or you can go into Radar and choose Radar scan from CSV. And all you need to do is upload a CSV. And it just needs to have the manufacturer in the second column and an app name in the first column. That's all the requirements are. And I guess the reason they've done that is that it's not always going to be Config Manager that you're moving from. It might be another tool like Workspace ONE or something other than Intune that you're migrating to Intune for. So we want to make it as simple as possible. All you need to do is just have the app name and the publisher. And so, for example, I mean, if you just copy these, I've just done a Control-C or Command-C for me, and put that into a Notepad file, then that will give you this as tab separated, which is obviously not ideal, but it's at least given me something to work with. So I can then put that on my downloads folder and call it apps.csv. Is that going to work?
Change. Yeah, you got to change that to. Yeah, you got it. Okay.
Cool. So I grab that, and then I can just take, where's my downloads folder? I can grab that. I should have really tested this before I try to do it live.
That's where the thrill comes from, though. That's
yeah. Please paste. Hang on, there's already got one called apps.csv. It's not going to work.
Apps 2.
Apps.csv. Paste that. That's not worked at all. Who lets me do live stuff?
Yeah.
There
So,
you go.
Dean, while you're doing that, a quick tip for our audience is that, when you're saving a file and you know how you're to change all files, and sometimes you don't have an option, it points to like, I don't know, a specific file type. So when you're you're like, hey, I don't want it to be called, .mov or .whatever, right? You put a quote. So you start with a quote, you write, foo.csv and then quote, and then it'll save it as that extension that you want. Just a little
I
tip.
see.
It's cool.
All right. Okay, I just need to get this over to where is it? Text to columns. So we're going to go for it's tab delimited, and there we go. We have an empty column, but that is the publisher and the. Let's get rid of 7-zip. Hasn't got a publisher, and delete those. So now we have got a CSV of. Let's just make sure it's actually saving as CSV, I guess.
And there is a sample in that.
Yeah, you don't have to do it this way.
They do just so the home audience knows. They do give you a sample, which I found helpful because at first, like every time I see that, I'm like, well, CSV has that formatted. Sample is there. So
yeah. So then upload. Does it work? Okay, only got one. Now, the interesting thing is that when you do this for an environment that already has things in it, then it's only going to show you the ones that aren't already in Robopack. So if I choose show existing apps, you can see these are the ones that are found in the library. So we've got multiple versions of Draw.io. But if you were to take any one of these, it's always going to be the latest version that it finds. But there they all are. So it's pretty much picked up those. It hasn't got these ones here, which I think were they in the list? I think they were, which could be something to do with the publisher name.
Yeah, they're in They're obviously in Robopack.
Yeah, those two are. Yeah. But that's sort of, if you got the publisher wrong, then it's not going to be able to match it exactly. And I think that's important to know that it is really specific about the publisher. But yeah, that's then got these ready to go in Radar, and I can just multi-select and then choose my patch group that I want to deploy to. And that's now those migrated to Intune. And that was pretty simple, especially given that I don't need to do any of that stuff I talked about with the Intune win.
That's your best case scenario, because, you know, when I talk to people about Robopack, one of the benefits I always say is, look, it will package. You can package, but I don't want you to package. I want you to use the instant apps. So to go from SCCM to Intune using Robopack, that's great that we can do the packages, but it's like, why even do that? Why not just I would start there, get the list. Let's start right away using instant apps, right?
Yeah.
That's best case scenario.
Yeah, and I guess depending on the number of apps you've got, you might be happy to go through that chore of selecting the apps from instant apps. But the point is, they're in the app library anyway. You know, it's not packaging that you want to do. It is just using the oh, look, a QR code slightly covering my face. I'm going to go over here. Okay, so comment. All right, you can be disappointed. Fine. Look, I'm using a Mac because I need this to work, right? That's why I'm doing this.
It did throw me.
If I was using a Windows PC, you would hear the fan. You would be waiting for me to recover from the blue screen of death. That's why I'm using a Mac. All right. Okay, so that was pretty much the problem of application migration from Config Manager. And as you saw with the CSV, it's pretty straightforward to migrate any application from any platform that you've got. So I think, as you say, the using the Config Manager import tool is pretty bulletproof, but it's going to give you old versions. And if you're happy with old versions temporarily until Radar scans the next day, then you can do that. But yeah, I think it's a good improvement, I think, for Robopack, because it was kind of missing, wasn't it?
I would say, yeah. To me, it's like I'm like, yeah, let's just start with that. Let's start there, and then if you need to, make packages. But I don't see why we wouldn't start there. That's phenomenal. Takes way less time. Get to the instant apps. Like, let's go.
Yeah, I've to say that since I started with Robopack, I mean, I've been using it even just for my test environment, right? And I was trying to create some applications in Intune, and I was like, it's been a while, but let me go through. I'm like, wait a minute, what's the detection method? Wait, what's the silent switch? Wait, what's this? It was like, you gotta go manually find that stuff, right? So I said, you know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna use Robopack. I'm gonna do the instant app thing, right? But instead of pulling it into Intune, I'm just gonna export the the Intune win file and whatever else, and then I imported it. So I just wanted to show the difference between discovered and what's already deployed, right? It was just super simple. I was like, man, thank God we have Robopack.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Sometimes I look back and go, I really don't want to be doing all that manual stuff again. All right, so there's a question, which is there a way to set a filter to the Radar function to display applications, only applications that are installed on some specific devices? No. Yeah, that's a short answer. No, there is not actually. It is only going to show you all devices, that have apps installed, and I'm not even sharing my screen anymore. Let me do that so I can show you. With
per
Radar,
the app. Yeah, it's per the
it's
app.
going to show you all of those, and you'll have all the devices here, and you can go in and see which devices those are, and you can see if you care about them when this finally loads. There you go. But yeah, there's no way to kind of constrain it to only look in certain versions, certain groups, for example.
That's probably that's so something like that. I would say is, whenever you have a tool like, I think people like Robopack and they start using, they want to be in there all the time. But I think the problem is understanding where the delineation is. So like something like that, I would say you're still going to rely on Intune to look at a device and look at the from Intune, look at the installed applications. Probably a good way to do that. Or discover apps.
And I guess the whole point of this feature, the whole point of Radar, at least as it was described to me, was that we wanted to figure out which apps we care about in the environment. And that's all it is. It's not like a reporting tool to show you which apps are installed where. It's just, do I care about, or which apps do I care about? Like, for example, I would not have thought that I cared about the AV1 video extension, but it has been discovered on one of my devices, and so I should go ahead and patch that and create a flow for that. That's all it's there for.
Yeah, you find a lot of stuff in here. It's kind of fun. I like showing people this part because, who knows? People find all kinds of stuff in here. They're like, "Whoa, I'm not deploying that." I'm like, "No, but you got it on some PCs." So, but the great thing is we can deal with it. We can deal with it right then. So it's it's a nice moment, kind of.
So we do have more to cover, actually, but let's just jump into these questions before they slide off the screen. So how do you make it available in Company Portal for users to install when they need it? You make it available. So by default, when you click through, it'll make it a required application. But as you're going through this, you can just make them available instead. Let me.
I mean, the thing about it, I always explain to people. So Intune is still the thing that's deploying to your device. Intune
the
is
main engine that's doing all that work. Yeah,
exactly. So when you set up these flows in Intune, you're going to see a lot of the same options. Is it available? Like perfect right there.
Exactly.
Is it required? Is it available? So it's Robopack is orchestrating how Intune talks to the devices, right? So the same way you would think, concepts in Intune, most of those are going to apply here. Very simple.
Yeah. I mean, to the point where, my mouse isn't moving over. We've got required versus available there when you're choosing. And if you choose available for all devices, for example, you can even click into this and use the other features of Intune that you should know pretty well, that you can exclude the group instead, or you can enable toast notifications. In fact, for available apps, you have that auto update feature and filters as well.
It'll read your filters from Intune.
Yes.
I
don't know if I've got any in this tenant. I do.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. So everything about Intune, just think when you're setting the flow up in Robopack, same principles apply. Which is, I think, what's really nice. It was clearly made for Intune.
Yep.
So.
And same thing goes for RBAC. We get this question a lot from when we're doing demos with customers and stuff, like, hey, how is security handled, right? Well, that's all coming from your Entra ID, right? Whatever you said there is what we're gonna respect. So
yep. Okay, there was a quick question I saw, but I've moved off the chat so I can put that on the screen, which was, how can I evaluate Robopack? Well, you don't need to. You just need to buy it because it's the right tool for you. But if you do want to try it, then there is a QR code at the top left, which will take you to a trial link and give you 14 days of access. But stay tuned, because we're about to talk about something slightly longer than 14 days. So yeah, take a look at that, and that's how you can evaluate it. And if you want a demo, there is a demo link as well. In fact, I can put a different QR code on the screen for. Oh, apparently I already took that off. There you go. There's a demo one there. Thank you, Laura. There's a demo option as well if you want someone to guide you through it and figure out how to do it. And then you get a trial at the end of the demo, obviously, so you can try it out yourself. Okay. There was one more question before I move on, which was, does Robopack permit, there it is, deployment of components from legacy Microsoft Office suites, such as Photo Editor, any specific compatibility or packaging considerations. And I think, Steve, that goes back to what you were just saying there about you're just using Intune. So if Intune can do it, Robopack can do it. You'd probably have to package it up yourself in the custom package feature. Any thoughts on that?
No, I mean, that's kind of it, right? I mean, you know what I'm going to say about legacy Office suites, like that kind of falls into the, what I really want to do now is tell you to stop using them. But I get it, right? It's not, you probably don't want to, right? It's part of the gig, right? And you're being forced to. Yeah, you could still package things in using Robopack and still, even if it's your own package, set up, take advantage of the patch flow system if it's your own stuff. So you're probably just going to have to go at that route. I mean, always, my rule with Robopack is always check instant apps first. You never know what's there. I mean, legacy, probably not, but take a look and then just, go about your own packaging.
Please, Steve, please don't patch my Office 2003. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, folks are scrambling to get to Windows 11, and
that's right around the corner.
Yeah, so it's along the same lines, but
it's pretty soon. All right, so let me share my screen again because I have something else really fascinating to show you, which is Config Manager. Again, Steve, you must be familiar with this. I would just, as we're here, right, there is this thing that we no longer need to care about, right? We've got this. If I go into the site and choose site maintenance, you've got all this stuff that we talked about. You aren't responsible for any of this anymore. You don't need to worry about delete. Maybe you should actually worry about deleting age general devices. But there's other stuff to fix the database and keep it all kind of ticking over nice and smoothly. And I guess the only thing that so backup site server. We used to back up the site server because if the site server died, then obviously it'd be nice to be able to restore that. Harjit, you mentioned using snapshots as a nice way to do that. But I guess we were also doing it for configurations and stuff, weren't we? So,
but the site maintenance, if I recall, there was some site maintenance you have to be very careful in what you set in it in terms of, because they kind of override or they don't work. Like, this one runs every 10 days or this one runs every 7 days or something like that, right?
Yes, I remember that. Yeah. I guess if we look in the site backup, it was like you could do it every day from 2. Andrew, is there anything in Intune like that where we can just set it to like backup Intune between 2 and 5 during the day?
No, there's nothing native. You can export settings catalog policies, but you've got to manually go into them, click them, export them, re-import them. And that's only settings catalog. So all of your device config, autopilot profiles, all that's missing natively. But we can help with that. We have Tenant Manager, which I'm guessing you have a screen of.
No, I do not. No, but I probably should have. Yeah, I probably should have.
Letting the site down.
Do you have access to Tenant Manager so we can talk?
I'm not running a Mac, so I don't know if it'll work.
Oh well, I mean. Thank you. That cut a little bit. Well, maybe the audience will prefer you then because you're not running.
Hang on. How do I share?
Well, you can pop up tenantmanager.com.
Window.
Hey, no, I mean my Tenant Manager environment is I use it for demos and I use it and it's
You haven't seen mine, have you? Here we go. Can you see that? Because I've now lost you.
No, but let me add it to the scene, and then everyone will be able to see it. Let me move to the actual screen where I can click that button, and there we go.
There we go.
Beautiful.
Okay. Oh, Christ. Hang on. I'm clicking buttons. Can you see that okay? Because I can't see you because it's full screen.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay, good. Okay, so Tenant Manager is our way of backup, restore, onboard, monitor, you name it in the tenant. So we can see I have a broken tenant at the bottom. It's obviously run out. But if I click in, you can have a look at the tenant details. So here are backups. Every night I do a full backup of all. I don't. It automatically backs up everything. And say I go and accidentally destroy something, I can go into the backup, I can select last night's. And I have, you can see it's a test lab. There's a lot in here. But let's say iOS. I can just select it. Here it always, click confirm. Away we go. Your policies are restored. Or we've got drift. So someone's been messing in Tenant. Who's done what? We can have a look and say, somebody has assigned this script. What's in the script? There's the base 64, dump that in a base 64 thing, and you can see exactly what's in the script and find out who's done what to it and knock it back if it shouldn't have happened. So, someone in the service desk got a bit trigger happy, pushed out a debloat script which isn't mine, and you've wiped out all your apps, for example. We've seen it. We've all been there. I think Microsoft released one at one point that did that.
I may have accidentally put Harjit full screen. Bear with me.
I've been using this quite a bit in the last few weeks.
This is going well.
No, so just from my my perspective is there's a lot of use cases for this. But yeah, I've been helping folks do especially MSPs, right? But even non-MSP customers who they want to make a big change to policy and they've tested it and they're ready to, delete the old, right? I'm like, look, let's make a backup real quick in case this goes. But it's become so easy now as opposed to doing it the manual way, because a lot of folks aren't really familiar with the graph, right? And one of the big complaints I always get, and I'll still bring this up, is Intune admins sometimes, we start talking about the graph and they feel like, so I'm like a developer now, I gotta know APIs, and I get it, right? The graph is powerful, and we know that it's there, but to say, well, you just export your policy, you put all this JSON in I don't want to do that. They want a button, right? So now we got the button to say, okay, back up the tenant. Now I have the backup from yesterday. Cool. Let me go in. Let me delete all the old policy, assign my new stuff, and you don't have to really worry about it. So that's been, I think, really powerful, even for folks who you don't have to have a few Intune tenants.
No, one tenant's enough. Everyone should back it up.
Yeah.
In fact, one tenant needs a backup more than ever because they've probably got 6 or 7 admins.
Exactly.
It's interesting with backups. Like we've been conditioned for years, as IT pros and stuff, to back up this, back up your photos, back up your documents, back up your laptop or whatever it is. But I'm amazed that Intune did not have that. Like we're backing up SCCM, we're backing up all that stuff. And it's so important, right? Again, not only just for drift and things like that, but the other key, the important part is that now, especially with threat actors and all that stuff, in the world, insurance companies are now requiring a set of, are you meeting all these requirements and stuff before they actually insure you. And this is especially more very common now in the US. I'm not sure in the rest of the world, but it's getting there. So it's a good thing to do.
And if there are any MSPs watching, we can also rapidly onboard your tenants because we have policies in there. So you can get a tenant up and running in 10 minutes. We don't have to tell the customer that it's 10 minutes. If you want to charge them for a week, you absolutely can. I'm sure Steve does that all the time.
No, you know me and my multiple tenants. I am working. I'll give you a scenario. I am working with an MSP customer, and we finally got our test tenant set up to be our gold, our gold tenant, our default template, and now we're deploying that out to others, and it's so simple to back up from this one, apply this template. So it's made that really efficient and not the nightmare I think folks thought it was going to be. And then Jason, no one ever makes unauthorized changes. Cab only gets you so far because we get punchy sometimes and we want to do things. And
it's only unauthorized if you get caught.
That's right. And it's the audit logs that bother me because normally they go to me, Steve, you do this. I could be like, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't touch what. What configuration? I've never heard of that. But then they got the audit log. So like, you could use a fake name, or you could just use Tenant Manager. Yeah. And I'll say to people, no, that was Mark DeWalt who made that change. That wasn't me. And
isn't that what
that should be our catch line now? Tenant Manager, easier than a fake name.
But
so I was one of those guys. I've done that, unauthorized changes, and then I'm like, oops, sorry, boss. We're now in production for blah. Oh, really?
Yeah, I always thought that was what the break glass account was for until I moved into security, and it's just using that to make the changes that you don't want to make. Obviously, that was a joke. Please don't do that. That was a joke. Okay, so
that's why you got 2 break glass accounts.
So, question I haven't read yet. I'll put it on the screen. When packaging an app with Robopack, does the tool have the capability to detect or reveal hidden installer switches that may not be documented or visible to admins?
Sometimes I've seen it. The interesting thing about Robopack is you would think, okay, if I put an MSI in, it's going to detect it, no problem. I guess they got something behind the scenes because I have uploaded EXEs and it's been able to use the metadata, I suppose, to sift out the silent install. So I think the answer here is it depends on the app, but I have seen it do it. I guess
it does. It does depend on the app, and there are 12 different types of installers that it can read, analyze before you upload it, and then figure out how to install it. And the question, I guess, or the follow-up question for that would be, when you say not documented, maybe the person who built the application hasn't documented them in an actual document that they've given to you and you can read, but the application itself probably has internal knowledge of the fact that it can do these switches. It really depends on how well the application has been packaged, because obviously if you do it right, then it's much easier to get information from that. So it may be. And yeah, I've got nothing more than it depends, as Steve said. But maybe.
That's our favorite answer in the Microsoft world is it depends. And the other word is should. Should is,
yeah.
And patience.
It should.
It'll get there.
We'll get back to you on that.
We'll get back to you on that. I'll look into it for you. Okay, so can I set up availability settings for app assignment with Robopack? I think the answer is no. I don't think that's a feature that has been built in to Robopack. I think it's in Intune though, right? Where you can set an app to be available at a certain time. Am I thinking?
Has anyone ever seen anything like that work on Intune?
So one thing, no. But what I will say about Robopack that you can do that I've done is you can, because the way Robopack works with waves, right? Think Windows Update for Business. So let's say you have an app that you want to make available to all employees, right? You can have the first wave be required to maybe IT testing. They're going to get it so that they can verify the app. And then if that's good, your second wave is set to available, but maybe to a small percentage of a group. And then your third wave can be maybe more groups and still. So you can control when folks are getting the available assignments relative to if it's successful. So you can't, let's say, hey, this is going to go available for everyone Wednesday at 11 a.m., but you can spread it out over waves. I think that's the best way to approach that. So it does give you some options that you don't get in Intune.
Yeah, and I think it's in Intune, but it's not something that Robopack has adopted yet. And
I don't know if it works.
No, you're right. Sorry, I've never tried it. I think it only appeared after I started using Robopack, so now I don't know. I've only seen it in the distance. I don't actually use Intune, just Robopack. Andrew says it has. He's seen that. So one more quick one, which is to avoid unauthorized changes and make admins more alert, you can just use Entra PIM, which you can. Yeah. Also,
and then they PIM make 400 changes.
Yeah. It's never one solution, right? It's always many things. Like PIM, everyone should have PIM. That's really good hygiene, especially in today's world. if you have any kind of access, Intune admin access or higher, use PIM, get in before you make changes. But the problem is, once you're in, we're all human. So, we PIM up, get ready to delete our important stuff, and go in and do that, and then use Tenant Manager to put it back. So
yeah, and obviously there's the PAM, the Privileged Access Management, so that you're in a kind of a secure place when you're making these changes. And I guess that does touch on the fact that when you're using things like Robopack and Tenant Manager, you are accessing a platform that has access to Intune and has access to Entra. So you should really be in a secure environment. So don't use your mobile phone to make changes to Intune via Robopack. That would be you should be treating these like a, what do you call it? A privileged access.
Privileged workstation.
Yeah, privileged workstation. Yeah. Okay, so where were we? That was a lot of questions. Thank you for that. Now we've put a few QR codes on the screen. One of them said try Tenant Manager for 14 days, I think, and then the next one said 60 days. We do need to touch on the fact that I haven't got my screen shared. So let's touch on that for a second while I share my screen, which is not that one. Next one. The fact that we have this Robopack Safe Passage program, which you can't even see my face because I've got that on the screen.
Can you remove the?
So,
okay, good.
Robopack Safe Passage is a partnership with Microsoft and Software Central Tenant Manager to help people move from Config Manager or any existing solution that they're currently using to Intune using Robopack and Tenant Manager. Robopack obviously does the application management bit for you. You just saw us explain how it can help there and explain the reason that you might want to try it out. And then also when we look at backing up an existing tenant or even deploying a tenant from scratch, if you haven't got Intune at all, Tenant Manager can go in and help you by deploying a good set of baseline policies for your environment. And the nice thing is, the reason I'm laboring this point is that this is now free for 60 days as a trial. So rather than that 14 days that we talked about, you can get both Tenant Manager and Robopack for 60 days. I think the QR code at the top left was the right one for Robopack, and the one in the middle there is for Tenant Manager. But a full 60 days of access, completely unrestricted, as part of this partnership with Microsoft, because they've really chosen us, Software Central, Tenant Manager, and Robopack as the partner they want to go with for moving apps to the cloud and for moving people from Config Manager or other RMMs over to the cloud, which I think is really exciting. I'm really proud of being part of this this program with Microsoft. What do you think, guys? Are you interested in this? Is this something you've been looking forward to? We've been working on it for a while, so what do you think?
It's brilliant. You don't even have to be shifting from Config Manager. You could literally be shifting from nothing.
And we see a lot of that. And you touched on a good point, right? Tenant Manager, we spoke about backing up, moving templates around, but it does deploy several kinds of standards of a tenant. So you can deploy every kind of config, right? Windows config, iOS config, compliance, conditional access, some basic Entra settings,
right,
with a button. So I like that they're doing this because, the push has been from Microsoft for a long time now is modern management, Intune, right? Autopilot, Entra join, right? We want you to move there. But you can only say it so much before you got, how are we helping people?
Yeah.
And not that they don't have docs and stuff and, people like me and Dean yelling on YouTube, but this is a great thing they're doing because they're saying, hey, listen, these are tools that are going to help you get there faster. So we're going to help you use them. And 60 days is pretty good. And, after 60 days, you could always, keep it going. Or I think if it's reasonable enough for some environments to just totally get there.
Yeah. I feel like, so there are a lot of community tools out there because that's gaps in Intune, right? Obviously, a lot of gaps. People are creating new things all the time and stuff. But coming from, wearing my Microsoft hat, when I was internal and dealing with customers and stuff, and they would ask for, hey, is there a fix for this? Is there something we can do? We're like, yeah, I will point you to Steve's, app or Steve's, whatever. Be like, yeah, that's really great. But is there something official from Microsoft? Is there something that Microsoft vets? And so this is a great, partnership. It is. I'm so excited. I mean, you can't get any better than that, right? They're saying, hey, use Robopack for apps and use Tenant Manager for, your tenant stuff. Fantastic.
And they're supported.
And they're supported.
Yeah,
Like as somebody who
Yeah.
has made,
100%.
community tools. I mean, we all have, right? That's what they are. They're community
Mhm.
tools. They're great. If they help people, that's a tremendous thing. When you're an enterprise, you do have that
Right.
concern though of support. If it does break,
Exactly.
I want to be able to call Andrew up in the middle of the night and talk to him. And
Yeah.
And it's always a pleasure, Steve.
I've enjoyed our chats, but yeah, you definitely want to know not only that you have
Yeah.
support, but like Harjit said, this is something where Microsoft is saying you should be using this platform. So yeah,
Right.
that's a great thing.
I think there's a distinction between supported and the ability to support at scale, right? So the fact that you
Sure.
have someone
Yeah.
who says they will fix a problem if you find a problem, you raise an issue in GitHub and they'll spend the weekend fixing it. Okay, great. What if 100 people find 100 problems on the weekend? Then you haven't got that support team. You aren't really able to support at scale. Whereas with Software Central, I know that company's been around for over 20 years, has a support team, has a development team, real developers who are actually coding for money. They're being paid to do things right and do things, not as quickly as possible, or vibe coding or whatever. I think there is a distinction, and it really does matter when it comes to an enterprise and a real business.
Yeah, I mean, I'll help you on the weekend for a few hours, but reality is, if I can't go to Dunkin' Donuts, that's the end of it, right? After a few good hours, I'll put in if I can't get there. So yeah, you're better off going with
All right, so that is all we have time for. I mean, I wish we could do these for longer, and I guess there's nothing really stopping us from just carrying on and talking. But we should probably end it here because
we're live. No,
yeah, I mean, we've got that session soon in a couple of weeks' time. Steve, where we're going to be talking about a load of stuff. Actually, we've got 3 sessions with you.
Well, we have a session together, and I find this interesting. And if you're headed to MMS, and I believe it was so popular, I spoke for us. I hope you don't mind. They asked us if we would do it twice at MMS, and I was like, sure. Me and Dean won't mind. I didn't even ask Dean. I figured.
Yeah.
But so we'll be there. We're doing several sessions together. One we're doing twice, I guess. So if you're going to be there, please come out and say hi. And then we're also we're all going to be back together in December for the Workplace Ninjas, the first one in the US. And we're going to be talking. I don't remember what we agreed to talk about, but it's going to be something.
I think it's great.
Whatever it is, it's going to be an amazing session. So come to that. We won't disappoint. And we're looking forward to seeing everyone.
But hey, we're also a sponsor for MMS Nashville in a week's time, and we're going to have a booth, and we're going to talk about Robopack, we're going to talk about Tenant Manager, we're going to have amazing swag. Stop by if you're there, talk to us. We're friendly people.
I mean, just looking at the list of countries that people are coming from, maybe they're not going to be that many people coming from.
If for the Europeans watching, we are also at the App Manage event next week in Utrecht.
A bit of a clash there. Some of us are going to the States, and some of us are going to the Netherlands, so it's a slightly closer hop for you, Andrew.
I will be at the Netherlands.
Excellent.
Yes.
I wasn't invited to the Netherlands, but that's all right.
It's a lovely place. It's fantastic.
I'll get there at some point.
People.
Hey, they let me into Paris. So.
Yeah.
And out.
Let me out.
Okay, yeah. So on those sessions, I think one of the ones is Autopilot V1 versus not V1. Autopilot versus APDP, Autopilot Device Prep, which is very important to talk about. And then
how to migrate. We're going to be talking about how to move over from one to the other. So not just. Are we?
Ooh.
Thought we were.
Okay. And also you've got the the hybrid, moving from hybrid to cloud.
That might be it. Whatever you want to talk about, you can, we'll keep it loose. So come to the sessions. If we're on our way in and out, you want to talk about something else, whatever you want, that's fine.
Steve likes talking about furniture.
Whatever you got. I'm trying to just help people. So whatever you got.
Yeah. Oh, this is fun.
my
We
God.
don't have an outro. We didn't have a script to start with, so never mind an outro script. Thank you to everyone for joining, and thank you to you guys for
Yeah,
jumping on with me. We should do this again really soon when we're not in
We
different
should.
countries at events. But yeah, this was fun, and thank you for joining, and we'll see you all later.